All right, so we have the profile screen. There's nothing at the moment, but whenever we visit the profile screen, we receive the route params, and there we have the user ID and name. All right, this is coming from the preview card. When they click on the user icon, which is in the icon set, so that's components links icon set. So we have the user. So when they click, we send name and ID to the route params, so we can access that here. So what I want to do is I want to use that ID, the user's ID, and send it to the backend so that we can get the user's information from the backend. All right, so let's make that request. We don't have that endpoint yet, so we go ahead and create the endpoint next. So here let's create a function, const, let's call it fetch user profile equals to async. Okay, so we write our code here, and then we need to execute this function, so we execute that here. So here we try, and we catch any error, console log the error, and then here we try using Axios, await axios.get, we make a get request to the endpoint. We can call it user profile, and we want to send the user's ID, so we can send that in the route. So route params user ID, that's, I think that's not user ID, that's just ID. All right, okay, so we send that ID. Then we have a look at the response. Let's see what we get. User profile data. Okay, so we'll have a look at the response here, and then we will put in the state and work on showing that result, the user information here. But for the moment, let's just leave it like this, and let's go to the backend. Let's create a route first. User profile, that's the route, with the user ID as a route params. So we go to auth, and let's write here router.get. We make a get request. So user dash profile, that's the endpoint, slash, we will be expecting user ID. So you can call that ID, you can call anything. Let's call it user ID just so that it makes sense. So user ID, and it's going to be a public profile screen for the public profile screen, so we don't have to apply any middleware like require sign-in. We just execute a callback function. Let's call that user profile. So we create this function. Okay, so we write that function in our control, and that is the one we use here to send the response. So let's go all the way down, and we can write here exports dot user profile equals to async request response try So we try to fetch this user information from the database. So user equals to await user model find by ID. We use that function, and we give the user ID which we receive in the request params dot we call that user ID. User ID. Okay, so we get the user ID from there, so we pass that as a parameter to this find by ID function that will give us the user based on this ID. And we don't want to select the password and secret. This shouldn't be we shouldn't be sending that to client. We don't need that. So minus password minus secret in a string without any commas. All right, so that's how you can deselect certain fields, and then that user we send as a JSON response. Awesome. All right, so we got that. So that means we should have received a response in our client profile screen here, that one. So let's have a look. So not yet. Let me just give a reload. Okay, so we have some issues here. Okay, so we have something going on in our backend. So router is not defined. That's routes. Oh, sorry, that's my typo there. Should be router. Okay, so that's looking good now. Let's try. Alright, so we got all these links. Let's click on the user and have a look at the console here. You can see we have got the response. We got the user ID, created date, email, name, role, and updated. Awesome. So that's great. We got this user information that we can display in the public profile screen, and you can see this is for this user Jen. Now if you try another user, so Jen is currently logged in. Now if you try another user, this is Ryan. If you click on Ryan, then you get Ryan's profile. Beautiful.